February 12, 1994. Ernest Johnson would enter a convenience store in Columbia, Missouri, and kill 3 people during a robbery. The crime would leave several kids without their mothers. Johnson had an addiction to cocaine that he had to feed. He would leave a bloody and grotesque crime scene that even seasoned police veterans couldn't stomach. On this episode of Chasing Killers, we'll be exploring the life of Ernest Johnson. Let's get into it. Ernest Lee Johnson was born on August 20th, 1960, in Steele, Missouri, a rural far southeastern city in Missouri. Steele feels more like the American South than the rest of Missouri and is only 10 miles from the banks of the mighty Mississippi River. Johnson was born into unfortunate circumstances and was raised by his grandmother, as his mother struggled with substance abuse issues throughout her life. Johnson was born with fetal alcohol syndrome, demonstrating the extent of his mother's addiction. Johnson would also struggle with addictions throughout his adult life. Prior to his crime, Johnson was convicted of robbery and burglary charges and would spend time in the Missouri State Prison system. In May 1993, just 9 months prior to this crime, he would be paroled from prison. It seemed Johnson was cognizant of his addiction problem and even asked his parole officer for assistance in finding treatment. On February 12, 1994, Ernest Johnson would visit the crime scene earlier in the day, then return with the intention of robbing the convenience store. Casey's, a well-known gas station and Quick Mart, located across the Midwest, was the scene of this terrible crime. According to court documents, Johnson had been smoking crack cocaine all day and needed a quick score to feed his habit. This could be best described as a robbery gone bad. There were 3 employees at the store: Mary Bratcher, Mabel Scruggs, and Fred Jones. Instead of just giving Johnson the money, an employee destroyed the safe key, ensuring that Johnson would not obtain the money. He would shoot all of them, then grab a claw hammer to finish them off, leaving a bloody crime scene more akin to a horror movie than real life. The Boone County prosecutor Kevin Crane would say of the scene, "This was a hideous crime. It was traumatic and it was intense." Johnson would flee the scene, but would be caught and arrested within hours. Police found the bloody clothing, stolen money, checks from the store, and shoes matching bloody footprints at Johnson's girlfriend's house. After his arrest, the prosecutor from the state of Missouri announced that they would be seeking the death penalty. The trial of Ernest Lee Johnson would commence on May 11, 1995, almost 15 months to the day of the crime. After a week, the trial would conclude and would be placed in the hands of the jury. After 2 hours, on May 19, 1995, Johnson would be guilty on all counts. The jury would recommend the death penalty be imposed, and the judge agreed. If you enjoy my death row profiles, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any new content. Johnson would begin his time on death row in the Missouri State Prison system and would initiate a fight for his life. He would win several appeals for resentencing by the Missouri Supreme Court and the U.S. Supreme Court. In 1998, the highest court in Missouri found that Johnson's attorney erred when they didn't call a doctor as a witness who diagnosed him with cocaine intoxication delirium, which could have changed the jury's mind on the death penalty. It didn't, and he was resentenced to death in 1999 by another jury. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled in the decision Atkins v. Virginia that states could not execute people with mental disabilities. Johnson had an IQ between 70 and 75, rather low. Another jury was called for resentencing, but they also affirmed the death penalty. In 2008, Johnson would have brain surgery to remove a tumor. This lessened his mental capabilities even further. His death penalty was again appealed, and this would drag on for years, but would not be successful. In 2021, it was clear that he would be executed soon. Several high-profile people, including Representative Cori Bush, Representative Emanuel Cleaver, and the Pope himself, would beg for clemency, but it would be denied. October 4th, 2021 would be his last day on Earth. For his last meal, he would eat 2 double bacon cheeseburgers, onion rings, 2 large strawberry milkshakes, and a large pizza. I'm not sure I could eat that much knowing what was coming. Johnson would walk into the death chamber at Eastern Reception Diagnostic and Correctional Center, and the state would carry out the sentence, lethal injection. He would be pronounced dead at 6:11 p.m. His last words would begin, "I am sorry and have remorse for what I do. I want to that I love my family and friends." This was another Death Row Profile by Chasing Killers. See you next time.